Tap.
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 Ujak, greetings again. Welcome to the 2005 Summer Neterian Conference. In this session, we're going to discuss an important discipline of the Neterian practice, the discipline of meditation. There are several forms of meditation practice that are discussed in the Neterian culture. One of them is a serpent power meditation. Some of you may have heard the term used by the Indians called Kundalini. Well, our term is Arat Shekhem, which means serpent power. We're not going to be discussing that today. There's a separate book related to that system. Also, there's a system called Nupu Neter, which means I am God, I am the divine. And that is the main system that is discussed in the Purdah book, in the Book of the Dead, of discovering your essence as the divine. There is a system of meditation related to the devotional practice through divine love that is discussed in the divine, the Path of Divine book, the Path of Divine Love. And also there is a kind of meditation that is practiced in the Mahathian philosophy, whereby you become so in tune with your actions and with the order and harmony of the universe that you become one with the cosmic order as well. So there are many different ways, paths to divine. And this particular one we're going to discuss today is called the Glorious Light System, or the Ra'atma system. It's developed by sage Seti Ua about 1300 BC. It is the one I discussed with you guys last night that gives us the earliest formalized instruction of meditation practice in human history. It relates to the three divinities that you see here in the cover of the book, or the four. If you look at the picture, one is really an aspect of the other. Jehuti, in the form of a baboon, and Ra, in the form of the hawk with the sun disk, Jehuti again in the form of an ibis-headed man, and goddess Neterian. Okay, next. Go to the next one. This is the translation. This particular book, Meditation, the Ancient Egyptian Path to Enlightenment, actually contains the Glorious Light System as well. In fact, this book is like kind of an overview of the different meditation practices of ancient canon. Okay? And the Glorious Light Meditation book deals specifically with the Glorious Light System. Basic instruction of the Glorious Light System was given by Sage Seti Ua, Sage Seti the First, in 1350 BC. As I said before, it's formal meditation practice. But like Drew said earlier, so we'll go ahead and move forward. We're going to discuss that again soon. The Glorious Light Meditation System of Shedal Neter involves three important aspects of practice. And the scripture itself gives the instruction, but also it says that the practice, the actual discipline, where you sit down formally to close your eyes, to practice the visualization and the chant and so on, before you do that, you are supposed to review the myth of Het Heru and Jehuti. So we're going to go over that briefly. Because the myth has important spiritual philosophy that you need in order to have a productive practice of your meditation. So you're going from a myth to a ritual practice leading to a mystical practice of religion, as we discussed last night. You know, the three the threefold practice of religion. Everybody remembers them? Yeah? Good. Myth, ritual, and mysticism, and metaphysics. First of all is the posture. Then the words of power are given for the practice, for centering the mind and engendering the proper vibrations, as we discussed. And then there is a visualization as well. But we'll do that again, so let's move forward. A little bit about the philosophy of meditation. First of all, the purpose of meditation initially is purifying the mind. Purifying the mind so that you can, as we said before, clear out the obstructions for your ability to perceive yourself and the world as it truly is. There are two stages in the practice. There is informal practice, or two, let's say, facets of the practice. There's informal practice and then there's formal practice. When we say that you are going to sit down in a cross-legged posture or on a chair, that can be practiced, do your chant, do your visualization, and so forth, that is formalized practice. That is a disciplinary practice. But what would happen if we give you a practice of meditation now, and then you leave this hall, and you start yelling at someone, or you get into a fight, or you get upset or angry with others? How is that going to help your meditative practice? And the answer is that it's not going to help your meditative practice. It's going to be counterproductive. You must practice a discipline of balance and peace and order in your non-disciplinary times of the day. So if you practice meditation for, say, a half hour a day, the other 23 and a half hours, you have to be practicing an informal discipline. Otherwise, you'd be like so many people who practice meditation, but when they're out in the world, they're as worldly as everybody else. And you will not have success in your practice. The people fall under three general categories of personality state or mind state. They're either umet ab, which means that they're a dull personality, or they are neshesh, which means that they're an agitated personality. Sometimes they're feeling good, and sometimes they're depressed. Or they're going to be bek. Bek means lucid. It means brightness. And also it is a pun on the word bik, or bek also, which means hawk. And that is the eye of Heru, the intuitional eye, which is your opening into lucidity, into true knowledge and enlightenment. You notice that the term umet ab incorporates the heart as well as the penis, the ejaculating penis. This relates to the dullness that occurs to human beings who are lustful, who are in a movement towards worldly activities, and very proud so, very proud of it, and very vulgar about it too, so sometimes. I've heard something extremely gross, and I hesitate to repeat it in the hall here. Just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. There's I believe a movie was being portrayed. There was a man, lusting after a woman. This wasn't even a rated R movie. This is a regular movie on cable. And then he was saying, "Boy, I wish I could be the sweat beads on her skin." The whole idea of going licking on someone else, or if you think about, it's very funny. About 25 years ago, there was this one particular show on Saturday Night Live, where they had this ironical sketch. And they had this, I think it's Barry Bosworth, I remember pretty clearly. He was in the form, he was dressed up as a dog. And he says, he's doing stand-up in front of the stage. You people, you're so hypocritical. And he's scratching himself and he's licking himself. And my owner, he's also hypocritical, and he hit me the other day. I was licking myself, and then he started hitting me, so I wouldn't lick myself. But I said, but you and your wife do that. And what I'm getting at is that people don't realize that they're acting like animals. And they find, and because of growing up in the culture and growing up in this environment where all this is promoted and is pushed on you, and you don't have any idea of what you should be doing in your life, or what is proper, what isn't proper. And you grow up around people smoking, so you smoke and you're proud of it. You're like, I'm not supposed to smoke, I'm supposed to eat meat, I'm supposed to do all these things. And you realize that it's killing you and destroying you, and you are dull. Your mind starts to become atrophied. Your intellect becomes atrophied. And you have people like that, they can't think of anything. You try to put anything on, and say, I can't deal with that. And they want you to just go to the corner store and get a Colt 45 or something. Or just turn on the television, because then they don't have to think. They're like Homer Simpson, the Simpson cartoons. There's a show that they had when they were, the TV antenna broke. So Homer went crazy, the whole family went crazy. They had to get a TV. And they said, get it, turn on the TV back so I don't have to think. And so it's just very ironic in that way, and it gives you a lot of insight into the culture. So then you have the shesh. Sometimes people are low down, dirty, nasty, and proud of it. And sometimes they want to be lucid, they want to be elevated, and they don't want to deal with lower things. And the lucid ones are the ones who have attained a certain level, and they remain at a very high or vibrational level of consciousness. And so with 3 meditation, you are trying to promote lucidity, is what we're getting at. And this teaching comes to us from the myth of Hindu and Jehuti. 3 steps in meditation: concentration, meditation, superconsciousness. Maui is attention, concentration. Ua is meditation. And Si is ecstasy, spiritual ecstasy. Think of it as the best analogy that I've seen, that I've heard, to give an example, is consider like a magnifying glass. When you put it out in the sun, and when you're trying to focus the rays of the sun to burn a piece of paper, most kids have done that or seen it done. You know what I'm talking about, right? Magnifying glass. And that focusing, when you're moving the lens up and down, that's called focusing, and that is when you're trying to concentrate. Once you find the focus and you hold it, that's called meditation. When the paper that you're trying to focus the light on starts burning, and I hope you didn't do this to poor little insects like ants and things like that. You have Ari to work with for that.
All the spice.
And that's being painted back all the bites they give you, right? That's their Ari also. Ari is what we call karma. For every action you have consequence. When you focus it and it starts burning, that's called ecstasy. If you reach the stage in your practice of meditation, that is when you will transcend time and space. You will transcend your concept of self as body and so on and so forth. Then you start expanding in consciousness. And through an integrated process, it'll begin to happen as glimpses in the beginning. And you must do this as an and as an integral practice under the direction of a qualified teacher, a priest or priestess, or someone who's qualified in meditation practice. Because you'll have certain experiences that you will need to have confirmed for you. Is this correct what I'm doing? Is this incorrect? Am I moving in the right direction? And so you can prevent, and some of the things that are going to happen also are you're going to have negative images that may come up, because if you're not fully purified, and this is why you need to practice the Montean discipline as well as you progress. Because if it occurs naturally, you will not reach this level until you are to a great degree purified, if you're doing the whole practice. If you just practice meditation, you may reach this, and then something may happen, and then you may get you may release something that you're not ready for, and then you leave the practice. So it should occur in a gradual fashion. And then there would be a kind of a soothing that can occur, where you become fully absorbed in the higher self and higher nature. And that is essentially what the practice is dedicated for. And the discipline that we're going to talk about is going to be working to achieve this. But never mind to try to achieve this all at once. That is not a proper way or a beneficial way to practice. So we practice little by little, developing your devotion, developing your understanding of the philosophy, developing your ethics, your ethical culture, so that you can have purity of heart. And then when you're ready for the experience, you will have it. Okay? We showed this briefly last night. This is the actual place where the scripture of the Glorious Light Meditation System can be found even today in ancient Kemet, the tomb of Seti Hua, Seti I. And this essentially is the practice. This practice comes at the end of the myth of Enheru and Jehuti. Again, these particular scriptures give this particular section gives the exact description of the practice. The body do make stand, protection, legs surrounded by expansion and within the sun disk. So that's posture. Talking about how you should have the posture, visualizing yourself within the circle, the sun disk of Ra. And this is the symbol of Ra, the sun disk with the dot in the middle. The dot being the primordial dot, and the circle being creation. Eyes, mouth, body parts, all same person, not passed by, going away, body. Means that you're not going away anywhere, you're not passing by, your thoughts remain within yourself. Not and not to speak. And also this practice is to be done by all people, which means that it's to be done by men and women. And this is one of the important aspects. Many systems of meditation developed in patriarchal societies that were dedicated to or for males only. And the Kemetic practice is a practice or a spiritual system that is based on a balanced society. So all disciplines are dedicated for men and women alike. You are to see your body as Ra on the day of his birth, not diminishing objects. Yeah, that last section is a little. We'll go over the instruction a little later. We'll continue with it. So now what we're going to do is to have a guided meditation practice of the glorious light system. And we're going to go through a little bit of the myth of Neterian and Jehuti, and then follow the exact instructions that are given in the scripture for the practice of the meditation. For those of you who are sitting in chairs, that's fine. Just keep both legs on the ground, and with your hands, your palms on your thighs. Those of you who are sitting on the floor, you can take a comfortable, any of the kinetic postures.
Probably want to put your bags, books, anything down that is not otherworldly.
And all of you know you practiced, I think, this morning the heck out of the glorious light system, right? You know that well? It should have been drilled into you pretty good, man, along with Amurabata.
You can get like a pillow so your feet are flat. Or yeah. Or if you need a pillow, you just need to be comfortable so your feet are flat. If you need a pillow, you're
Get comfortable so that you can find a posture that you won't have to be moving too much or adjusting too much.
First, you're going to
Yeah, first we're going to go, you can remain facing the screen a bit, and then just be attentive to the myth and the visualization practice. You don't really need to take notes right now, you can take notes afterwards. A long time ago, there was a great goddess. Her name was Neterian. The god Ra sent her to the world because human beings had become unrighteous. They had become blasphemers. They were not following the teachings of Asar, who had taught them how to practice the Neterian philosophy, how to be worshippers of the divine. He sent the goddess down to the world to smite them, to hurt those who were, or to punish those who were being unrighteous. From a goddess, she had turned into a lioness so that she can come down to the world and smite them. She came to the world and she forgot herself. And Jehuti, in the form of the baboon, came and acted as her preceptor to help her, to assist her to remember who she truly was. And here we see a picture of the goddess Neterian on the left, and in her lioness form on the right, she is called Sekhmet. Would I do that? This is the image of the goddess. Now notice her countenance, notice her eyes. And ascendance. Notice her whiskers. Notice her mane as it comes out in a circular fashion. Notice her earrings and her ears and the color tone, the golden tone of her skin. Notice the darker brown area around her eyes and her lapis lazuli colored nose. Closing your eyes, visualize the image of the goddess in your mind. The eyes with their circular symbol of Ra, the blue nose, the circular mane, the whiskers, Opening the eyes. Now notice the form of Lord Jehuti. Lord Jehuti is the son of Ra. He is the inventor of the Medu Neter. So he wrote down the spiritual philosophy of Lord Kebri. Lord Jehuti appears here with the body of a man and the head of an ibis bird. The ibis bird, the important feature of the ibis bird is that it has a long beak. It can stick its beak through the mud and find little tasty morsels to eat. And that is how the intellect needs to be in an aspirant. You need to be able to have a keen intellect to pick out the tasty morsels of spiritual philosophy when they are given wherever you find them. Lord Jehuti came to Goddess Heru, who was in the form of the lioness. She had forgotten herself, and through his teaching, through his preceptorship, he led her to rediscover who she was. Notice the long beak, the long black beak, and the red, yellow, and green mane. Notice his green forehead, the horizontal antlers, the sun disk on top of the antlers, the two plumes on either side. Notice his golden body and his kilt. As well, notice the Ua scepter that he's holding. Now, closing your eyes, visualize in your mind, concentrating, the long beak, the long black beak, the golden body, the slender golden body with its kilt, the green forehead and neck, the horizontal antlers, and the sun disk, and in his right arm holding the Ua scepter. Opening the eyes. Now consider Lord Jehuti in the form of a baboon. Baboon is a symbol of wisdom. Here he holds the right eye of Ra, which is synonymous with the goddess. The right eye of Ra is the sun disk itself, the Uajit. Uajit also, Waj means green, greenery. Greenery means life, the power, the life force. Here, Jehuti is holding the eye that he has fixed. The eye was infirm. The eye of Heteru was infirm because she forgot herself. And she represents all of the aspirants who forget themselves and who need to be enlightened, who need to be brought back to the knowledge of self. Notice his countenance. It's like a beneficent figure. Stoic, but beneficent. Notice the green color. Notice his head with the ears on the side and the snout coming forward. And the dark eyes. And in his hands he is holding the eye, the right eye. Notice his toes, his feet, and his knees, his legs, his abdomen. Now closing your eyes. In your mind's eye, concentrate and visualize the god Jehuti. in your mind. The general figure, he's sitting, holding the eye, with his beneficent figure, his beneficent face. And think about the green color, the greenery of the grass, the greenery of vegetables that sustain life. Just as the greenery of the spiritual philosophy that Lord Jehuti has sustains and enlightens the mind and the heart. Opening the eyes. Now consider the next image of Lord Jehuti. Look at the deep eyes, like an ocean of consciousness. The long snout with the whiskers, as if he has a lot of wisdom to give and he can begin instructing. Notice his headdress, blue and red color. Notice the dark brown around his face, around his eyes. Closing your eyes. And your mind, concentrate on the image. Starting with the eyes, the deep black eyes. The brown, the dark brown, and light brown around his face. His whiskers. His chin. The red and blue around his head. Open the eyes. The teaching of Neterian and Jehuti comes from the Theban district, the city of Dendra. The goddess had her temple in which aspirants would go annually for a festival, the festival of Neterian, in which songs like what you've heard, Heheruaha, would have been sung, festival songs, and the practice of the disciplines of the goddess and the myth of the goddess would have been